Good morning and welcome to this week's Tuesday Tune-Up. I am the Reverend Erica Rozalski, and this is the beginning of Black History Month. We are in the Episcopal Church are very cognizant of the ways in which enslavement and oppression have been baked into the United States since before it was a country. And we are committed to racial reconciliation. It is one of the core pillars of the last 9 years of presiding Bishop Michael Curry's work with and leading the Episcopal Church. We have Building Beloved Community. We have Sacred Ground. We have so many resources for churches to undertake the necessary work of understanding systemic, institutionalized racism that is baked into every institution in the United States, and the Episcopal Church is no exception. So beginning on February 16th, I will be leading a study on Zoom of the Reverend Canon Kelly Brown Douglas's book, Resurrection Hope, A Future Where Black Lives Matter. Here's a little bit of the bio of the Reverend Kelly Brown Douglas. So she is the canon theologian at the Washington Cathedral, and she is also the Bill and Judith Moyers Chair in Theology at Union Theological Seminary in New York City. She has worked as a priest and as a scholar in numerous seminaries and institutions. She's a native of Dayton, Ohio. Dr. Douglas was one of the first 10 Black women to be ordained a priest in the Episcopal Church. She was an associate priest at Holy Comforter Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. for more than 20 years, as she was also working as a professor in different universities and divinity programs around Washington, D.C. This book, Resurrection Hope, was the 2023 winner of the Grawemeyer Award. Apologies if that is the wrong pronunciation. But that award is one of the most prestigious prizes in religion given by the University of Louisville and Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. Dr. Reverend Kelly Brown Douglas has published several books, but this latest book is very timely and contemporary. It was written during the year of 2020. That was when she started writing it. And it was a response, a theological, existential questioning as to from what was going on with the killing of George Floyd and all of the police brutality that 2020 saw, as well as the disproportionate number of deaths of Black people in the United States as COVID-19 spread across the country and lack of access to healthcare. So I'm going to read today a part of the introduction of the book that gives you an idea of what the book is about so that you know if you want to join this book study. It will be a 6-week book study, like I said, beginning on February 16th. It's going to be part of a new series called Fridays at 5, and we'll take on theological books and read them together and wrestle with what the author is presenting to us for our consideration. So here is the end of the introduction from Resurrection Hope. The shock was made even more real by the questions my son asked me. And as a aside, Kelly Brown Douglas is, then this is also from the intro, the mother of a 6-foot-tall, lock-wearing, 27-year-old Black man, fearing for his life in this nation as much as I did when he was born. So that is the questions from her son that she's talking about. That's who her son is. As Black death was becoming more and more routine in the nation, whether at the hands of police or from the COVID-19 virus, My son challenged my faith in a Black Christ. And these are the questions her son posed. How do we really know that God cares when Black people are still getting killed? How long do we have to wait for the justice of God? He asked. I get it that Christ is Black, but that doesn't seem to be helping us right now. These are the questions that I seek to answer. This book reflects my journey of faith-seeking understanding amidst the cries of Black Lives Matter and the questions my son was asking me. Through this book, I attempt to answer these questions by first discerning why this nation is one that lets Black people die, and then figuring out what God has to say about it. This book is essentially a journey of faith. Paul Tillich reminds us that the element of uncertainty in faith cannot be removed, given that the object of our faith is transcendent, that is, beyond our human grasp. Essentially, Tillich is reminding us that doubt is intrinsic to faith. This book has been for me a journey through the doubts intrinsic to my faith as I begin to wonder whether God's promise in a just future is to be believed. Not only was it hard to live in the promise yet to be fulfilled, but with each, almost daily, reminder that Black life does not matter in this nation, I no longer trusted the promise myself. And so in this book, I essentially walk through the valley of death when it comes to Black life, not knowing if, on the other side, I will affirm my faith or give in to despair. This is a journey from the crucifying realities of Black death to an attempt to find the resurrection hope of Black life. And so I just wanted to introduce this a little bit to let you know what the book study is going to be exploring. At the end of it, as the title indicates, the Reverend Canon Kelly Brown Douglas does come into a resurrected hope. But the book is a journey through that wrestling. And while Black history matters all throughout the year and Black lives matter all throughout the year, the month of February is set aside to highlight the work and contribution of Black people throughout the history of the United States and throughout the history of humanity. So I just think it's a really great opportunity for us to gather together to learn more about what it means to be Black in the United States in the year 2024. But also, it's a really wonderful theological reflection on the questions we all struggle with. We all struggle with, where is God in all of the horrors of this world? Where is God amidst all of the sin, institutional, personal, interpersonal, all of the systems of sin that we see at play each and every day? Where is God in all of this? And how do we, as followers of Jesus, as followers of the way of love, continue to be the light of Christ in a world that can seem so bent towards harm and destruction? How do we trust that God's promise for a just future is a real promise that God is faithful to bring forth and to help us live into that now and not yet reality of existing after the ascension and before the return of Jesus Christ? Chapter 1 is about understanding the threat to Black life in this country and understanding the profound and pervasive impact of an anti-Black narrative that is inseparable from the nation's white supremacist foundation. Chapter 2, again, I'm reading from the introduction. Chapter 2, Kelly Brown Douglas turns to one of the most visible symbols of the nation's compromised moral imaginary, as well as indicators of the depth of the problem when it comes to race: the Confederate monuments on the public square. Chapter 3 attempts to understand the silence of good white Christians. And if you don't know that reference, it's from a letter from a Birmingham jail by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So the silence of good white Christians when it comes to being in utter solidarity with Black people in the quest for justice. Chapter 4 explores what it would mean to free the moral imaginary from a white knowing. What are the implications for a faith that places a crucified and resurrected Savior at its center? Chapter 5 represents the culmination of her journey. In this chapter, she heeds the call of the resurrected Jesus to meet him in Galilee. It is in the Galilee of Black Lives Matter protests that she discovers the truth of resurrection hope that is God's promise. So I am so excited to be leading this book study, to wrestle with these issues, to bring about some more awareness within ourselves, to look at our part, but more to understand and to trust deeper in God's promise of a just future. And what does it mean for us as Christians to live into that reality as best we can in our daily lives? So happy Tuesday, or whatever day you happen to be watching this week's Tuesday Tune-Up, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.